The world is changing and evolving, but for some people, that doesn't mean freedom. It's more of a burden to keep up with everything. For me, my bike is my freedom, and today I will tell you why riding a motorcycle is the only time I feel alive and free. There are moments in life when you realize how numb you've become, not because something dramatic happened, but because nothing did. So, days stack on top of each other, conversations repeat themselves, and you start functioning instead of living. You wake up, do what's expected, say the right things, carry responsibilities, and somewhere in all of that, you disappear. I didn't notice when it started for me. I only notice the contrast later, because the only time that numbness fully lets go is when I'm on a motorcycle, and that feeling is priceless. People love to romanticize motorcycles because, for many, they are a symbol of rebellion and danger. But it's not the truth. At least not the whole truth. Riding isn't about looking cool or escaping society, but about feeling present in a way that modern life almost never allows. It's about a kind of awareness that shuts up the noise in your head without asking permission. And when I ride, I don't feel special or powerful. I feel real. That difference matters to me more than people realize. In fact, most of life today is filtered. Moreover, screens between us and the world distance us from our emotions. The sad thing is you can scroll through tragedy, anger, love, or boredom in the same 10 minutes without feeling much of anything, because your brain adapts. That's how it survives and shields us from anything real. But that dullness doesn't switch off when you want it to. Instead, it follows you to your work, your relationships, even into moments that are supposed to matter. So, a motorcycle doesn't allow that distance, but the moment you sit on it, your body knows something your mind has forgotten. This is not abstract. It's physics. Balance, speed, sound, all of it hits you directly. There is no glass between you and the world, or a second chance to think later. Then, your attention snaps into the present because it has to. And that forced presence is the first thing that feels like relief. By the time the engine starts, something primitive wakes up. But not something aggressive or reckless, just alert. And when you sit on the bike, your senses sharpen. You hear things you never notice in a car. The pitch of the engine, the way it changes with the throttle, the subtle vibration that tells you how the road feels beneath the tires. Your body becomes part of the machine, not metaphorically, but literally. You lean because the bike leans. You slow down because it needs you to. The truth is, you're not commanding it as much as you're cooperating with it. And that cooperation requires honesty. And if you're distracted, anxious, or angry, the bike reflects it immediately. There's another uncomfortable truth people don't talk about. Riding doesn't numb emotions. On the contrary, it exposes them. So if your mind is racing, the ride feels unstable. Or if you're tense, your movements become stiff. You can't fake calm on a motorcycle, but you have to actually find it. And when you do, even briefly, it's unlike anything else. It's not just happiness. It's clarity. It's the feeling that your thoughts finally line up with your body instead of pulling in opposite directions. there's also fear, and that matters more than we admit. Not panic, not thrill-seeking, but a quiet, respectful awareness that this demands your full attention. Fear gets a bad reputation, but it's one of the last emotions that still cuts through numbness cleanly. It strips away ego. On a motorcycle, fear isn't something to conquer or show off against. It's something you ride alongside. It keeps you humble. It reminds you that you're not invincible. And strangely, that reminder makes life feel more valuable, not less. In everyday life, consequences are often delayed or softened. You say the wrong thing and you apologize later. You ignore your body and it complains years down the line. You drift emotionally and no alarm goes off. On a motorcycle, feedback is immediate. Too much throttle, too little focus, poor judgment, and the response is instant. That immediacy forces a kind of honesty that's rare. You can't lie to yourself about your limits. You can't multitask your way through it. You either show up fully or you don't ride well. However, there's the silence, even with the noise. This is the part that's hardest to explain to people who've never ridden. The engine is loud, the wind roars, the world rushes past, and yet the inside of your head goes quiet. Not empty, just focused. The constant background commentary that usually narrates your life fades away. No worrying about tomorrow or rehearsing what you should have said years ago. There's only the next corner, the next movement, the rhythm of the ride. It's not meditation in the calm, gentle sense. It's meditation under pressure. So for some of us, that's the only kind that works. I've noticed something else too. When I ride, I don't feel like I'm performing for anyone because there's no audience. It's one of the few places where my value isn't measured by productivity, politeness, or emotional availability. In fact, the bike doesn't care who I am off of it. It only responds to what I do in that moment. That simplicity is rare and deeply comforting. People sometimes ask if riding is an escape. Well, it is, in a way, but not from responsibility or reality. It's an escape from dissociation, from the feeling of being split between who you are and who you're pretending to be. But always remember, you are exactly where you are, doing exactly what you're doing. Nothing else fits, and that makes the rest of life easier to return to, not harder. After a ride, things don't magically fix themselves, because when I take my helmet off, problems are still there, and the stress still exists. Life doesn't suddenly make sense, but I come back sharper, more grounded, less reactive. It's like my nervous system resets just enough to remember how it's supposed to feel to be inside my own body. Once you've felt that, truly felt it, you start noticing how rare it is elsewhere. I don't think motorcycles make you feel alive because they're dangerous. I think they make you feel alive because they demand presence, honesty, and respect. They don't tolerate autopilot. And in a world that constantly encourages us to numb out, scroll past discomfort, and soften every edge, that demand feels almost radical. Maybe that's why riding feels so personal, almost sacred to those who love it. Because it's real. Because for a while, you're not waiting or half present. You're there, fully there. And once you've tasted that kind of aliveness, even briefly, it's hard to accept anything less. That's why when I say riding a motorcycle is the only time I feel alive, I don't mean the rest of my life is empty. I mean the rest of my life is quieter and filtered. But on the bike, the filter comes off. Do you feel the same way too? Share your experiences in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Cheers!